welcome to Creative Convention. My name is Liza Chuma Akwenli. This is the first session and I'm really excited. If this was a live event, this is the part where you would have introduced your business, told me about yourself, why you joined the masterclass. I'm really excited. This is first an apology that we could not have session 1 and 2 live. The network has been really crappy, but I'm going to ensure that you get the best of what you can during this masterclass. So what I'm asking you to please do is ensure that you follow through the activities in this masterclass. If you do follow through with them, your business will be significantly different from where it was when you started. Now in session 1, my goal is to help you find the leaks in your business. Now I would have started with the activities if we're in the live class, so I will start with the teaching. I'll try not to go beyond a certain time limit so that you have enough time to do the activities. The activities are what will change your business, not what I'm teaching, because you could have great information. If you don't do anything with that information, you don't get results. And as wellness experts, whether you're a coach, you're a medical doctor, you're a therapist, whatever it is that you do in the wellness space, you understand that people have to do. I tell to my therapy clients sometimes, the things you people say to me in sessions, if you actually told it to your partner, you won't be in therapy right now. If you said it to the person who offended you, you won't be talking to me. Sometimes I think people are talking to the wrong expert, and the same thing can be true of us even as experts who do this work, where we want to speak with a coach and we want to get in another masterclass and we want to take another course, we want to get in another program, whereas what we should be doing is doing. Not talking, not hoping, not studying, but actually doing. And so my focus for all the sessions are the activities. And so what does it mean to rebuild your foundation, to find and fix the energy leaks? First off, let us look at the things that constitutes the energy of an organization. We could talk about the branding of the organization. Okay, the way the branding of an organization is designed allows us to know the energy this organization has. For example, when you look at Mercedes-Benz, the moment you see it, there's a way you think about it. There's power to the way you think about it. When you look at the Dove brand, the skincare Dove, every time you see Dove, you see innocence, you see beauty, you see gentleness. It's part of the branding. When you look at race cars, the way they're designed to have the energy, the horsepower and everything. So every time they advertise it, they have to advertise it with the speed. You will not get your advertising right, you will not get your marketing right, and as a consequence, you will not get sales if you don't get your branding right. Which then brings the question of what is branding? Branding is what is on people's minds about you when you are not there to explain yourself. And that's a paraphrase of a Steve Jobs quote. If people cannot think about your business accurately, then they cannot do business with you accurately, neither will they reference or recommend your business accurately. One of the great ways to know how people think about your business is to ask them. And I know it doesn't sound much like a marketing plan. Oh, I'm supposed to build the brand and then I tell the people what I do. Yes, that's fantastic. But you don't get to tell people what parts of your business to take. For example, my business wasn't originally named Liza Express. It wasn't. I was Liza Express. But people equated Liza Express with me and the business, naturally. So the business hijacked what was my nickname at the time. When we did find out the correct pronunciation was Liza and not Lisa, the market was already saying Liza Express. So my friends can call me Liza, but the business is still called Liza Express. Why didn't I jump on video and start correcting? Oh, it's Liza, not Lisa. That is just going to cause confusion. It's going to cause confusion. However, if they search for Liza Express, will they find Liza Express? Notice the game. The game plan is not for me to be right. The game plan is for my clients to find me. Whether they're typing by text or they're using voice to text. So my team went online and we did a research and we started to do different accents to call the business name. If you do Lisa Express but you don't open your mouth, Google will give you Pizza Express. And there's a Pizza Express abroad, which means our international clients are more likely to find Pizza Express than they are to find Lisa Express. If you do search for Liza, they would find Liza Koshy at the time. They will not find Lisa Express. If you search for just Lisa Express on YouTube, it will show you an Indian brand, not my business. And so what my team did was, what do we need to add to this name to create consistency across board so people stop losing us when they try looking for us? We added wellness. That was the game plan. That was what changed the game, rather. Just adding wellness. Now, people will not search for Lisa Express Wellness all the time, but if they remember Lisa Express, or they remember Lisa Express, or they remember Express Wellness, or they remember Lisa Wellness, we will come out. So now, as we fix our SEOs, we have to put those things. It didn't look like a lot, just correcting the name. Just giving your brand name a consistent pronunciation, a consistent look and feel allows your customers to find you. I need you to ask your last 10 clients to pronounce the name of your business. Not necessarily your last 10 clients, just on your contact list. Put it on your WhatsApp status, your business Instagram. Ask your customers, pronounce our business name. The way they pronounce it is the way they look for it. I have a Christian community called Audacity Nation. It is spelled Awedacity. When it came out newly, people called it Audacity. So when we were going to buy our domain name as a team, we had already figured out there's going to be a name problem with this brand name. So instead of buying aweda.city as a website name, why don't we buy awedacity plus whatever else we want .com? So that people understand it is one word. And then we created flyers and flyers. We did YouTube video on how to pronounce the name. We sent a newsletter on how to pronounce the name. We put it on our Instagram. We pinned it on how to pronounce the name. Because the way people remember your name is what they search for. I want you to look for this brand online, Speak Your Way to Cash. It's by Ashley Nicole Kirkwood. What Ashley has done with her brand name is that she has a consistent brand name for all her events. So she has Speak Your Way to Cash, the book. Speak Your Way to Cash Live, that's her live event. Speak Your Way to Cash retreats. Speak Your Way to Cash this. Everything is Speak Your Way to Cash. So however you remember Speak Your Way to Cash, it brings you to the same Ashley Nicole Kirkwood. Some of you have 10 domain names. You have 6 domain names because you have masterclasses and private events, etc. All those names, do they lead to the same you? Can we remember all the names? No, we can't. We are not your family members. We don't love you that much. Names are powerful. Names are powerful. I just finished an internal team training for my team, and one of the things I told them to do was, I know many of you don't search for the business accounts as frequently as I do, but I want you to go to your incognito tab, and I want you to type the business name, omit this word, omit that word, omit this. What happened was that every time they omitted something, the search engine results were different. How people found us online was different. Well, there were 2 brands that we had hacked, Lisa Express and Audacity at the time. So what happened was we found out that, wait, regardless of how you tweak the name, these 2 brands came up. You know what we did? Consistency. For our podcast, Lisa Express Podcasts. Website name, Lisa Express Wellness. Social media, Lisa Express Wellness. All social media usernames, Lisa Express. We had lost some accounts. We created new accounts and made everything the same username. You cannot have 3 separate usernames online and expect people to find you. That is bad publishing. That is really, really bad publishing. It is bad tech rules. It is bad SEO rules. It is bad publishing rules. Because you want people to be able to identify you. You're not the only person who is an expert in that field. If you're writing a book, for example, if you're listening to me because you want to publish a physical book, there are other books with similar titles as your book. Necessity demands that you go and research about those books. Who has published a book that is exactly like mine, that the title sounds like mine? What's the differentiating factor between my book and their book? Where is their target audience? Where is my target audience? Where is my target market? How do I engage with these people? How do I build publicity that drowns out a book that has already sold 10 million copies? If you don't do that, nobody's going to find you. That is an energy leak, because no matter what you pay in advertising is going to go down the drain, because people will see the adverts, they will click on it. They may not take action immediately, but they need to be able to remember the brand to take action again. Which brings me to my second point. How do you market your brand? A few years ago, I was on radio. One of the few times I was on live radio, actually. And I had spoken to the crowd about trauma and recovery. What I did not realize was that someone saved my contact on that radio show, that when they were ready for therapy, they would come looking for me. That client came back a year later, and that client brought me my first 4 high-ticket clients at the time. Imagine what would have happened if the contact I gave the client had changed. Imagine what would have happened if my business name was not the same. Imagine what would have happened if I did not share the contact. Imagine what would have happened if I didn't have a customer relations person to attend to the client. It's not enough that you are on multiple platforms. When you get on those platforms, do you have a way of selling your brand? Another thing that happened, similar to this but in the negative, I had gone to speak on a YouTube channel. Though I was invited to speak on this sex talk conversation for married people at the time. And the person who had invited me had over 450,000 followers. Do you know what that would have done to my business? And I got to the end of the show and realized something really scary. I didn't have a product. And I didn't have a way to get contacts. I didn't have a free thing I could use to bring people into my funnel. I didn't have a low ticket activity I could tell them to sign up to. I didn't have a consistent program, maybe a podcast every week they could listen to, or an Instagram live I wanted them to sign up for. I had absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, at the time, my business had maybe 10 courses. We had all these challenges. We had Spoil a Man challenge. We had a lot of challenges were going on, but we didn't have anything that made sense to this audience. So I'm going to give you a tip. Run a survey. My team does it every 2 years, every 3 years. We're running one this year, and we're aiming to get about 2,000 people to fill the survey. And the goal of the survey is not to survey my present clients only. There's an internal survey there's always an internal survey for present clients, but there's an external survey that we use for our target market. Here are a few questions that are in that survey. You can tweak it to match your business. One of the things you want to find out first is the age demography of the people who saw your business and thought, let me check that out. You want to know who those people are. 2, you want to know what it is about your business that made them sign up. What it is about your business that made them give you their hard-earned money. Whether it is 5,000 naira or it is 5 million naira or it is 50 million naira, it is hard-earned to the person at the level they are at. You need to know what it is about your business that makes someone want to give you their money. Number 3, you want to know how you passed their test. Every customer has a test. Every customer actually has a test. Some people tested you by checking out your degrees. Some people tested you by your eloquence. Some people tested you by the stories you told. Some people tested you by your result. How did I start to cater to wellness businesses that needed to sort out their branding, their tech, etc.? Was that my colleagues would go to my website and say, Lisa, whatever you did. In fact, the first person who paid me to brand, that's what the person said to me. The person just came into my DM on WhatsApp and said, whatever you did to your business, do it to mine. How much would it cost? That was my first major brand client. And the person wasn't even in wellness. The person just visited my website, my social media, the consistency, the usage, the colors, everything. And I'm going to go back to branding on this matter. And the person said, whatever you did to your business, do it to mine. You need to know how you were pre-qualified. Because if you know, then you can repeat that process. When we ran one of our surveys, a particular client said, I listened to all your podcasts episode. Every episode before I booked my first session. Isn't it then funny that my team at the time, we were creating podcasts because speaking is easier for me than writing, and I figured I love to write, but I need to be in a certain headspace to write. But if you tap me at any given point, I can teach for 12 hours straight. I've done it when I'm on set before. So why don't we just keep recording podcasts? Besides, with audio podcasts, I can put my head in a wardrobe somewhere and I record. I can be driving and lock the window, put on, turn off, noise cancellation, and I can record. I can record on my mobile phone. If you're using an Android phone, get RecForge 2. RecForge 2 allows you to record just one audio at a time if you're using the free version, but the quality is very, very clear. I don't know if Parrot Pro still functions. Parrot Pro is one of the best podcast apps that used to be available in the early, maybe a decade ago. I don't know if they still function, but RecForge 2 is still on Play Store. If you're using your desktop, feel free to use your Microsoft Sound Recorder. It is very clear, it is very clean. As long as you have a great microphone, it works. Now, that podcast, I'm going to go into podcast in another of the sessions. I don't want to preempt myself. When the person said this in the survey, what it did to my team was that it made us focus on our podcast. So we then focused on the analytics that came from our podcast and started to study our analytics. And we found out that the podcasts that were single episodes, that you just come up and say, oh, I'm going to teach about assertiveness today, and then next week you go and teach about something else. We found out those episodes did lesser compared to the episodes that were a series. We would not have known this had a customer not drawn our attention to it. So we noticed that and we decided to run an experiment. We did the sex trauma series. It was just 12 episodes long, 12 episodes only. At each episode, there was no episode that was longer than 30 minutes. That series alone got us 1,000 podcasts listened. Just those 12 episodes. In the duration of those 12 episodes, that 12 weeks versus the 12 weeks after gave us 1,000 podcasts listened. Now, we did have major technical crashes. So if you go to our website and all our podcasts, there are no new episodes yet because we're getting them back. But imagine what would have happened if we did another 12 and another 12 and another 12. So perhaps the problem is not that you have a bad business. The problem is that you're creating something you are not studying. Going back to branding, when my customers come to my podcast, they are not confused. The colors, the fonts, the consistency, the language, the way we write, the way we engage is the same thing across our social media, across our website, across our podcast, across our blog, across our newsletters. So perhaps the problem is not that you have 12 platforms. The problem is that you are a different person on all 12 platforms. Perhaps the problem is not that you have 12 platforms. The problem is that you look different on all 12 platforms. So when I'm on your Instagram, I don't know, am I speaking to the brand or am I speaking to the founder? Some of you put your personal opinions on your business brand. It should not be. I don't put my personal opinions on my business brand. I don't make comments on my business brand. I don't watch videos. I don't watch reels on my business account. In fact, many times I ensure my staff have access to it and I don't have primary access to it. And the reason is because I want brand consistency. I want the algorithms to work in my favor. What are you doing with your brand that you're treating it like it's you? Because except it's your personal brand we're talking about, if this wellness brand is an actual registered business, it should be treated as such. Because even legally, when you get into situations and you have not treated a business like a business, it's difficult to win an argument in court that is a separate entity from you. Okay, so back to client surveys. Another survey we ran, we had asked our audience, what is it about our services that you liked? Remember that person said podcast. Another person said, I like to learn about sex from your brand because I found out that I learned a lot, but it is unerotic. I don't go back to watch porn or masturbate after. Knowing full well at the time that we were working with people who were dealing with addictions, because our business tagline was break up with trauma and addictions. Break up with trauma and addiction. It didn't make sense that we were going to do something that was going to make people addicts. So when we followed other sex coaches and other sex therapists, I don't care how many thousand followers they have, if they had erotic content on their account, we unfollowed them. It was a principle within my brand that we unfollow them. And the reason was simple. Whoever we followed, our audience trusted that we had vetted the person. So when you go to my website and you check my business disclaimer, one of the disclaimers we make is that we will not follow you on social media. We are not your friends. We are your health providers. We will not follow you on social media. Here's what that has done for our clients. It has given them freedom to know that they are anonymous. But it has also helped them understand that, wait, when these people then follow people, they follow people who are tested. Now, we do not validate or approve every person we follow, but it means that their content has some level of scientific backing. This person's content is not erotic. Our content will not be erotic. And when we do have content that is for people who are actively sexual or who are married, we gate the content. You have to pay to access it. So when you go to our website, we have a value. When you see our values are Chufa, confidential, healing, unerotic, friendly, and accessible. The promise we make on our website has to be kept. Our content cannot be erotic, but we did not know we had that value. That value showed itself until a client told us in a survey. That is a leak many of us have. The values don't even make any sense to your audience. For example, I come on your website and I see integrity. What is integrity? What does integrity mean? It's generic. What does loyal mean? If you're loyal to me as a therapist, it means even when I'm silly, you're still going to be loyal. What are your values? What do they mean to the audience? Because if you do not tweak your messaging right, now I'm still on branding and messaging and understanding how your client receives your message. Another of the surveys changed our target audience. This one was humbling because we didn't realize we were bleeding out in that way. We didn't know that was a leakage. We had a lot of content. The people who liked the content could not pay for it. The people who wanted to pay for it, we didn't have content for them. The content we created did not even attend to any of the audience. So we ran this survey and we were very particular about teenagers and young adults. We loved them. We had discounts. We had courses. There was this program we used to have called Sexuality Code. Sexuality Code was 12 weeks long and it was free. To make it more interesting, because we were handling sex in the classes, people could not ask their sex questions, which meant we were doing free back-end one-on-one therapy and coaching sessions and private master classes. We had another program, I will go to that later. And so we would teach and teach and teach and teach. We had a lot of content on social media, but we didn't have a lot of money. And so we did this survey. And we started to ask people, oh, how much would you pay? Do you think this is a problem in your life? Would you prioritize this? And then we found out a new audience we had never catered to started to agitate. I'm happy for you if you have an audience that agitates to speak to you. We had a new target audience that was agitating, and they were sending us DMs and saying, how come your survey is not asking us questions? And my team thought, oh, wait a minute. That's true. Hold on, we'll create a survey for you. So we quickly created a survey. Then this target audience was between mid-20s to late 30s, early 40s. And so we quickly created a target audience, which is why you have to be proactive. We quickly created a survey and gave it to them. And they started to fill it and send it to their friends. Here's what we found out from that survey. This new audience were begging to pay. But we went to our website and found out none of the courses we had, none of the programs we had, nothing we had reminded them of us, sold to them, or asked them for their money. And so we had to do something really painful. We went to our website and we took down all the courses. We went to our website and we took down all the flyers. It's not, you don't need 20,000 services. You need one service that can sell to 20,000 people. Otherwise, you are bleeding in energy, you are bleeding in time, and you are bleeding in money. Every staff should earn you time and money. I heard this from Ashley Nicole this year. But every every organization should give a staff, this is what I'm saying to you, every organization should give their staff access to new experiences, new skill, increase their financial bottom line, and expose them to people. But you can't even successfully do that for your staff if you don't have reason to use the staff. So if you are creating courses and nobody's buying it, your customer support staff has no reason to be a better customer support staff. They are not growing. There's no customer for them to support. Your graphics designer is just creating graphics nobody is using. It's offensive. You are creating courses over and over again, but nobody is buying it. So can you stop creating for a minute? If you can, take the next few weeks and just run surveys. Don't create a course. Don't create a masterclass. Don't host another event. Just run surveys. If you can get 500 people to talk to you, 500 is a lot. If you can get 100 people to talk back to you about your brand, just 100 people to talk back to you about your brand, you will know what you're doing and what you're not doing right. In the process of these surveys, we then asked people an interesting question I want you to ask your audience. When you hear this business, what comes to mind? And I remembered everybody who spoke back to us. This was maybe 2019. Everybody who spoke back to us between 2019 and 2022, everybody who spoke back to us said sex, and they said naked humans. We had a program at the time called Naked Humans, and we had stopped running naked. We didn't realize that that program had created such a ripple effect among our audience that every time they heard our name, naked came to mind. Guess what? The program was no longer available. Isn't that terrible? That you have an activity, an event, a brand, a business, a product that has gained publicity, and you took it out casually because you thought, well, it's not a big deal. Ask your audience. Now come into your team, ask your team. I'd done a program, I went for a coaching program because I thought something was fundamentally wrong with my business. It's not working. And then I went for this coaching program, and they had asked us to run an internal survey this time around, not an external survey. And I remember that I asked my oldest client at the time, this person is not even in Nigeria, and this person is abroad. This person is in Ghana, sorry. And so I had asked the person, asked everybody actually, when you look at the business from the inside, what do you think is our superpower? To which this person responded to me and said, Liza, it was always sex for us. We did everything mental health because it was acceptable, but it was always sex for us. Do you understand how strong that is? That your team members have identified your brand strength. That they know that if we put our energy here, we will sell here. I have corrected your brand. I have corrected your messaging. I'm correcting your internal team structure now. If you don't lean on the vision you have sold to your team members, they are always going to be confused. So it's either the message your team members have is wrong, or you are constantly changing the message they have. And in order for you to know the message they have, you need to ask them. Sit with your team members this weekend after this masterclass. In fact, today is Monday. Between now and Friday when we come in for the live sessions, sit with your team members and ask them, when you think about this brand, what comes to mind? Let them tell you what comes to mind, what they think. Then you are able to make internal corrections, because if your team members don't get the message, when they put out content about your brand, it's going to be inconsistent, which then brings me to consistent messaging. Your social media should not look different when you post as the founder versus when your staff posts as the founder. If that is happening, there is a messaging problem. If your customers will buy from you, but they will not buy from your staff, there is an authority problem. Authority is not just when you give someone an assignment, that's a responsibility. For every responsibility, there is the authority required to execute it. What I do at my business, so for example, you go to some businesses and you find out that when you want to do therapy with the lead therapist or with the lead coach, they charge you more. What that thing does is that it tells people that, oh, I am the most important person on this team. I need you to speak to all these other people who are not as important. Yes, it makes your business more money, but over the long period of time, it undermines your coaches. Because what you're saying to people is, this person is not as good as me. So if you want me, who is the phenomenal person, you have to pay more. What you are unconsciously teaching your audience is the art of disrespecting your team members. When you come on your social media and you say, oh, so this is the founder speaking today, you are disrespecting your team members. There is no difference between you and your team members as a wellness business, because if a client feels unsafe at any point in a wellness business, they go away. We are not people who are consultants. We're not consultants. This is not branding, where you just say, oh, give me your brand, and we're going to work on your logo, and we're going to work on your messaging, and blah, blah, blah. We'll send you a document, and the whole team works on it. No, this is not it. With wellness, someone is coming to tell you that they're HIV positive. Someone is coming to tell you that they cheated on their client. Someone is coming to tell you that they hate their body. Someone is coming to tell you that they hate themselves. Someone is coming to tell you that they want to kill themselves. Someone is coming to tell you that they hate their partner, and you want to make them feel like you are the safest person and every other person on the team is not safe, and you think they will return. That's a leak. That's a problem. Now, let us look at your product and your service, and this will be the end of session 1. How many products do you have? I know some of us have 7 products. I was on a website this weekend that just passed. Out of sheer curiosity, every time someone posts something, if it has a website, I'm going to the website. I don't care how beautiful your social media is, I'm going to your website. Your website should have every information. Today is not a website session, so I won't go into it. I went to this person's website and I saw movie production, and saw relationship counseling, and I saw real estate, and I got super confused. Mind you, I have multiple platforms. I'm a very, very multi-talented, multi-dimensional person. But when you look at all my brands, there is a consistency in the fact that they are all in the wellness space. They are all in the wellness space. There is a wellness story to all of them. It took me a couple of years, so if you're a multi-talented person, I'd like to work with you personally, because it can be a bit complicated to get your messaging right. I'm now just beginning to get my expanded system right. This takes a couple of months and years, depending on how much money you have and how much expertise you have and how willing you are to scale quick and be pulled in multiple directions. However, there has to be a consistent messaging. So now I'm on this one website, and there's real estate and there's relationship coaching, and I'm wondering, which one am I supposed to believe you're an expert of? What are you an expert of? You are a medical doctor and you own wellness and coaching. That's fantastic. They're in the same line. But then you have 6, 7 brand names. But when I go and look at the products in the 7 businesses, they're the same product. One of the things you will not find me do is that I will never render a service to you that I have a business that renders. So when people come to me personally and say, oh, I need your consult, I need you to help me with my branding and stuff, like when they come to me for that, that's fantastic. But I have a team put on ground for that. It doesn't mean I'm not going to work on it, but I'm not going to work on it as Liza. You know why? I don't want to take authority from that team. I don't want to take authority from that brand. I don't want to take authority from that institution. It would make me personal money that I don't have to pay my staff with, but it takes away authority from them. If it takes authority away from them, it will burn me out at some point. So I'm talking to 2 kinds of products right now. Some of you have multiple businesses, but the products in all the businesses are literally the same product. Then some of you have one business with 20,000 products that are so far apart, it doesn't make any sense that they're together. So here's how a perfect example of what you should have is that right now, I'm teaching how tech and publishing can help you scale your wellness business. If you know me very well, you will know that those are three different angles of my businesses. But here is what I am not doing. I'm not going to build any of your websites personally. My tech team will. I'm not going to do publishing for any of you personally. My publishing team will. The things in wellness that I know because I run an active wellness practice. But you're not going to find all these things on one website. No, you're not going to speak to the same person to get all the details on all these things. When you go to my wellness website, the only thing you will find there are wellness services. As a matter of fact, the only things you will find there are sex-related services. So you will never go to Lisa Express and find a service on suicide. Have people come to me and say, oh, I have a family member who's suicidal. I'm sorry. I'm sentimental. I'm empathetic. I'm sympathetic even. But I would refer them to a colleague in the field. I will not take it on. Here's what happens. When that person leaves me, they leave me trusting that, oh, this person is such an amazing person that they didn't even try to take my money. That's number one. Number two, because they now know my expertise, when they meet someone who needs it, they're like, I know a brand that is trustworthy, that will not take money from you if they don't offer what you want. So those type of people have referred more solid clients to me because I turned them down. And my colleague gets a better relationship with me. You don't have to run every service. So you go to Lisa Express, you find sex coaching, sex therapy, sex education, then infidelity recovery, but how it affects your sex life. Whatever we do in wellness has to affect your sex life. That is how your services should be. Now that we have resolved how your services and your products should be, the question then becomes, how many services do you actually have capacity to run simultaneously? When we chunked down our services to 3, we added another 0 to the figures we made, and probably 3 more zeros going forward. And the only thing we did was remove redundant services. What are redundant services? They are services that if you remove, your customers won't even realize we're gone. That's number one. Number two, they are services that if you remove, you would have more time to cater to your best-selling service. Number three, redundant services are services that you have just so you can show that you have services. It is better for you that you have one service that sells every day than you have 10 and people get to your site and they are confused, because understand that too many options confuses people. When you give people too many options, they get confused. Perfect example, at the time of your registration for this program, we gave you 4 options. Choose whether you wanted to be in case study, and then we gave you 3 options of case study. Those 3 options confused a lot of people. I remember going back to it and thinking, we gave them too many options the way we worded the title. I learned because nobody picked it, but people who spoke to us in the DMs ended up paying for those same service that they saw on the website. So it's either we didn't explain it correctly or the options were just confusing. If people come to pay for services and they find 12 services, it's confusing. They don't buy. It's too much. Shut it down to 3 key services, just 3. When you get 3 key services, I promise you, you will know what your bestseller is. If you don't know what your best-selling product is, your best-selling product is the product that will sell even if you don't advertise it. Which means if you advertise it, it is the product that will shoot up to the sky. You should have one product you can run an advert on all year long. If you don't have a single product, a single service that you can run an advert on Google or social media all year long and take your hands off and be very certain that that service will be running from January to December, if you don't have that, there's a problem. I know I've given you quite a lot of information. And I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to help you see and pay attention to the places where your business is probably leaking in team energy, is leaking in messaging, is leaking in services, is leaking in packaging, and is leaking in branding. My team is going to send you an email that has the activities for this. I don't want to add it because I've already given you a lot of thinking to do in this video. So what I need you to do is check your email and attend to the activities. If you attend to them, I promise you session 2 is going to be mind-blowing, because then you have something to build on. Because in session 2, what I'm going to be doing is helping you structure your system. But if we don't make these corrections, you don't even know what the system is. All right, see you in the next session. Bye.